Hi everyone, there have been some recent updates to how things work with the modular library, so I wanted to make this video to show you. I wasn't able to find any other reference material from CLO, so just in case somebody is really lost, I just wanted to make this video to show you how to bring in a custom block into CLO's modular library. And I'm using a bucket hat as a worst case scenario example because CLO's not currently set up to work with hats, or accessories for that matter. But I am here to show you that it is possible. You just need to be patient and curious and just keep trying things until you find a combination of sewing relationships that work. So, and I'll get into what all of that means in just a moment. So to get started, have the project file of the garment that you want to import, have that open. So for me, I've got my bucket hat project file open. I'm going to now minimize my library by just clicking this little arrow pointing to the left. And then right below that is the modular library tab. Click that to expand it. So you guys might have, your garment might fit into one of these categories, but if you were working on maybe tweens or teens or, some other, maybe a unisex category, like I'm about to add, you'll need to add that category. So to do that, you'll click the plus sign, add group. If you're working with something existing, just go ahead and double click to open up that category and then further file wherever you want to add your garment. If you don't see your category, just click the plus sign to add it. To go back, just click the little name, the label that's behind the arrow here, and it'll take you to the previous menu. So for me, I want to add unisex hats as the category. So I'm going to click the plus sign here, add group. So this window opens and I don't have the folder that I want to select. That's because I haven't created it. So I'm going to click anywhere in this empty space. I'm going to right click. I'm going to scroll down to new folder. Now I name my folder whatever I want. So for me, unisex hats. This again might be a step that you can skip if your category is already listed. So if it's already listed, you would just highlight it by left clicking and click select folder. For me, I'm going to click the folder I just created, select folder. So we've created a folder. So let's go ahead and double click inside that. So now it's asking us for a category. So you might not want to add this category, but unfortunately we don't have a choice. So I'll show you what I mean. I've got to add a category here. So to do that, I click the plus sign, add category. I'm going to call this summer hats. All right. I wish we had the option to go from unisex hats and just have all the hats in this one folder. Unfortunately, we don't have the option. CLO makes you kind of add folders maybe that are unnecessary. So just go with it. I'm just going to click in. Again, this might not be a step that applies to you, but I'm just showing you how to build this completely from scratch. So we are looking for the style heading. So that's how you know that you can now add that specific block. So right now we've just been adding folders and categories. Now we're going to actually start working with the patterns. So for the style, I'm going to switch on my schematic render. Now, what does this do? I'm going to show you. Let me pull this up. Okay, so schematic render will highlight everything in whatever line color you select. The default works for me. It just makes all of the construction pop. so you can see exactly what's going on with the garment. Because without schematic render, you might not realize, you know, there's either a construction line, a seam here, you know, stitching, something big. So schematic render is helpful in that way. I like it because when we go to add our style, the default thumbnail that CLO generates will come out more crisp and with more detail. And I'll show you what I mean. So when I go add style, I'm going to click this plus sign, add style. Oh, just in case I did that too fast, I'm clicking this little, it's the second icon on the vertical toggle menu. It's right below quality render. It looks like a little t-shirt. The keyboard shortcut on my PC is Alt-0. I think for you guys, that's, for Mac people, that's Option-0. So just click that. Now schematic render is toggled on. Experiment with these settings, you know, when you have some free time. For right now, these settings are good. I'm going to minimize this just so I can have a bigger window and see what's going on. All right, so now I'm going to click this plus sign, add style. And this is the thumbnail that I'm talking about. So adding schematic render before you click this plus sign will make your thumbnail much more detailed and more crisp. I kind of did a side-by-side comparison. The quality's a little bad, but you can see that there's more detail here with schematic render than without. It just makes your life easier, and I just think it looks better. But you know, this is just a personal thing. So I'd recommend having schematic render, and you can actually leave it on for the rest of, you know, you adding this into the modular library. So name your style, whatever it is. For me, bucket hat works. I'm going to click OK. All right. So now I'm going to double click inside. Now I'm going to be able to add all of the interchangeable components. So this is where, you know, things kind of get a little tricky. Just give yourself a lot of time and a lot of patience. If you are needing to go back, just right click, delete, or edit. All right, so nothing is undoable here. You might mess up, and that's just part of the process. So double clicks to make sure that you are inside the style, and you'll know because you'll be able to see these kind of, these look like little toggles that aren't active right now because we just have one option here. So with this, you've already double clicked. Let's go ahead and click the plus sign. Again, this gets really repetitive, right? Every time we're just clicking the plus sign and then we add. So here you're going to click the plus sign, create block section. So for me, when I'm thinking about this hat, I'm thinking about it in 3 components. I've got this top disc part that I'm referring to as the crown. I've got this middle band part that I'm calling the band, and then I've got the brim. All right, so I'm thinking about this in 3 components. So for me, that's 3 block sections that I'm creating. So I'm going to click the plus sign, create block section. This is where you have to think about the sewing relationships between all of your components. And honestly, this was probably the trickiest part for me to figure out, because if you take a look, there's nothing that even remotely refers to the head or anything. It's all pants, skirt, you know, sleeve options, and, you know, front, body, collar. So I had to think about what sewing relationships would work. And yes, it was just trial and error over and over and over again. So just, again, be patient with yourself. The option for me that ended up working best for the crown was full body. So I'm going to select full body. And this is really just the most important part, the block type that you select here. What you type in the tag area is really just for your own reference. CLO doesn't make any connection to what you type. It doesn't, you can type anything and it won't have any significance to CLO. What matters is whatever you select, whatever option you select from the pull down menu. So here, crown is what I'm calling that piece, and I'm going to go okay. And then for the next part, the band, I'm going to click the plus, create block section, and that ended up working best as the sleeves tag. Sleeves. And then I'm going to call this band. I'm going to click OK. And the next is create. So I'm going to click plus, same thing. I'm going to work on the brim now. For brim, the tag that worked best for me was the cuff. And I'll show you another little clue. Let me just type in brim. Okay. So notice how these all are they're in a specific order, and it's not because of the order that I listed them. This is working, think of this section as working from the top down. So let me see if I select, I'm going to create a block section again, and let me call that collar. So I think it's going to stick it somewhere, and I'm just going to click OK. See how it sticks collar up above brim? So this is another clue if you're kind of thinking about your garment and the different components. This is a clue, like, are you setting it up correctly? And, hopefully this is going much more smoothly and more intuitively for you because you're working with garment components, sleeves and sewing relationships that are already existing, as opposed to me where I'm kind of having to force this to work. So it should have a logical flow into this stack of block components, these block sections. All right. It makes sense that the crown is going to go on top of the band here, and that is going to go on top of the brim. I'm going to delete collar because I don't need that. So I'm just going to click the little trash can icon. It says if you delete a block type, the associated block file, and it has the file type, it's a .zmod file, will not appear in the library. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. And it's nice that it's asking, do I want, are you sure? Same thing. Do you want to delete all block files included in the block type as well? Yes. That's easy because we haven't added anything yet. We've just created our little labels. All right. Think of this as the little folders within your style. Okay. So now we need to add our patterns into our folders to create the relationships between the label and the actual pattern pieces we want to file in there. So I'm going to start with crown here. I'm going to click the plus sign right next to it. And now because I'm selecting more than one pattern piece, I'm going to hold down Shift and left click all the pieces that I want to label crown. So you'll see following your cursor, it's this little text that says, please select a pattern, then press enter, press escape to exit edit mode. So once I've selected my patterns, they'll pop up in white here. They're selected in yellow. I'll hit enter, and this add block file button pops up. I'm just going to hit OK. I'm not making any changes to that. Everything looks good. And just confirm, does this look like your pattern piece, or, did you accidentally select something? Hit OK to accept. And let's see, it is asking to finalize to just double check everything. Let me see. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to click band next to it. And I'm going to click the pattern pieces. I'm holding down shift because I want to select both of these. Enter. Looks good. Okay to accept. It's just asking me to check my tags. You know, I think that's kind of a not so helpful pop-up because we're not done adding. I'm gonna select my brim. I'm actually gonna hold down shift and drag over both of these pieces. Since I didn't select this band, this long rectangle, curved rectangle, it doesn't select them. So that's what's nice about CLO. It's not like Illustrator where, you know, it will accidentally select a point. So again, I'm just holding down shift to select multiple. When I'm done, I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard and just visually confirming, yep, that looks like a brim. Okay. Again, it says, please check your taglines before finalizing your blocks. If any changes need to be made, please select cancel. If you're satisfied with everything, select OK to hit enter. Okay. And it's just nice to see all of my pieces here in my modular library. So now I'm going to test that this worked. So let me just switch to this view. I'm going to turn off schematic render so it's a little more visible. Let me delete all of my pattern pieces. I know this feels very counterintuitive, but just delete just to make sure. And now add your pattern pieces back in. So I'm double clicking. It's taking a moment. All right. One piece is in, clicking, boom, the other piece. And this is why it's nice to have the modular library, because here, you know, this could be the start of another style, you know. But anyways, let me just keep adding here. All right, perfect. So it looks like all my components added correctly. Now, is the sewing still in there attached to my files? Let's check by simulating. And looks good. Nothing is moving, so that's telling me this is a super stable garment. Hat. Cool. All right, guys, so we did it. You have added your custom block to your modular library. For credit, I want to see your style in the modular library like this, you know, all your little components here and in the style tab, just like this. You can take a screenshot. I'll use my snipping tool. Grab this, and this is going to be what I'm looking for. So I've got my modular library with my style, my 3D window, and my patterns here. All right. If you have any questions, reach out via email or Pronto. Good luck.